Democrats pledge to produce fiscally responsible budgets again next year, and we promise to keep using sound budgeting practice principles. We feel like we've met our commitments and also balanced our budget, so we're very proud of the fact that we've done it in a fiscally responsible fashion. Who's going second?
Let me talk briefly about, I think, what we all said at the start of the session, a major accomplishment. We will accomplish that today in a conference committee report on health care reform in this state. And we are proud of the fact that we will be able to point to a bill, as we said at the start, way last fall, we said we'd be able to point to a bill and say, that bill provides access to affordable coverage for every kid in the state of Iowa. That is a major accomplishment. We're proud of that record. But let me also say something else. I think we're proud of the fact that on a host of issues this session, it was Democrats and Republicans that won. It was people working together in a broadly bipartisan way. We had over 40 votes for health care reform in the Senate. And that bill passed on our side. So I think this was a session where, in spite of the fact that Democrats control the House, the Senate, and the governor's office, we worked together with Republicans. And as others will say on a couple other issues, we had real success by working together and accomplishing the people's agenda, not the Democrats' agenda, not the Republicans' agenda, the people's agenda.
We're very pleased with the progress that we're making in terms of shutting down the legislature. We've been working in a bipartisan way to not necessarily have agreement on the substance of all the bills or issues we're debating, but in terms of timing of the shutdown. And part of that is a big job, and the staff here deserves thanks. All the legislative service agency, fiscal bureau staff, and the partisan staff on both sides have been working very, very late, along with several of our members. And I know I left my razor home last night. I'm in shape at some point today. But we're very pleased with our process. We have 4 or 5 more pieces of legislation to do in the House before shutdown, and we hope to, at some point, if the train stays on the tracks, to get out of here at some point this evening. But it's just we're going to have to adjust if necessary to the build-up of bills and things of that nature. But we're very pleased with the progress for shutdown.
Where are you on some of the other priorities?
You get your turn. But it's my turn now. Just a few issues that we did in a bipartisan way, very important for this economy of the state, the power fund and energy efficiency and the REAP funding. I mean it's up 18 million, and that's one of the most popular programs that the state ever initiated. And and I just want to say a bit about what we've done for veterans and their families. The last two, this General Assembly and in both years addressed veterans issues from county veterans, executive directors, to education funding, to housing funding, to be sure that veterans get their jobs when they come back from being called to Iraq. And with helping our current veterans, we also helped older veterans, and especially the Vietnam era bonuses and that type of thing. And the other big issue, these were bipartisan issues, and the other big issue, especially in rural areas, and that's the silent tax. I mean, equal educational opportunity and property tax relief. That's all we heard for the last 30 years around here. And that's the best game in town. It'll work. It's not a tax increase. And so it's just, I'm so proud of that. And that I think you can compare the accomplishments of this session in a bipartisan way with any legislature in this nation. Just pull the web pages up and look. I don't think that, I mean, we're ending here in good style and so many accomplishments that this session be proud of. I was here when the last session that editors and folks in Iowa looked at as being the most wonderful session, and that was in 1965. This General Assembly in these 2 years is going to come very, very close. And sure, there's a little nitpicking that people can do about but we've done more for Iowans and their families probably in the last 20 years. This session is really, the bubble has gone to the top as far as taking care of our folks. And so I'm very, very proud of that, and all Iowans should be.
Are there some things that'll be left on the table? Say immigration reform, you guys passed differing measures on that. Is there going to be any last minute action in either chamber?
I think we assume they're gonna pass our bill and they assume we're gonna pass their bill. Look, I don't think we've found consensus on that issue yet. I think both sides made good faith effort to find consensus on that, but we weren't able to find it. It's one of those, it is a tough issue. It's one that the federal government has essentially punted on. And that in a lot of ways, there isn't much states can do on their own. So both of us made a good faith attempt to do some things, but don't find consensus between the two chambers.
What are some of the other issues that you guys wish you could have had more time with or gone forward with?
I suspect that the other party will give you a few things, points they thought we didn't do. I got to go back. I think we're pretty proud of our record. You take a look at time 21. We had 35 votes for the Senate. We wanted to get one more than half of each of our caucuses. We ended up with 35 votes for that. Why? Because a bunch of people worked together and came up with a response to the state's transportation infrastructure, and we had more than a majority of both caucuses vote for that. Silo. We got a significant number of Republicans that joined us in supporting Silo in the state. Silo included property tax relief that both parties have talked about on the campaign trail. Both parties want to make sure our kids have access to affordable health care, and both parties work together and pass legislation to do that. So
Like, I mean, 80% items on the smoking ban.
Smoking.
That's a huge issue.
Yep. So
Very popular issue out there.
So I'm not gonna, I think we all at times have priorities that go by the wayside in this process, but in the end, I think we responded to the concerns that Iowans had, that we put together a budget, and a set of recommendations that does things for Iowans that we all can be proud of. And I'm gonna repeat, that both Democrats and Republicans can be proud of.
You've got a lot of moderate Republicans in both chambers who are not running for re-election. Are you all concerned that this might be kind of the last gap for bipartisanship?
No, I'm just thinking we're gonna pick up a few more seats.
So you don't need those Republicans?
Oh, well, I mean, no, I think, honestly, I think this year, we really strived on the House side to do things in a bipartisan effort on time 21 silo, on the Stoley bill. We did try to, there's gonna be those times when we disagree, and there's no question that that's gonna occur. But I still think the big part that we have to focus on is the things that, usually when Democrats and Republicans agree on something, that means not all of them have to agree. But generally, that means we're moving the state forward in the right direction. When we talk about the bills we've talked about this morning, it's been a successful year in pushing the state forward in the areas of education, healthcare, and also infrastructure needs. So I think we generally did a pretty good job on the right direction. Is everything done? No. We don't want to lose our jobs, but I think we've done a lot to go in the right direction.
Are there a couple of people that have something they want to
What's
share with the
Stoley?
entire group?
Oh,
What's Stoley?
it's a
That's-
consumer protection bill that we work with. Granger originated life insurance.
Actually, most of us are worried about SPOLE, spousal-owned life insurance.
Representative McCarthy, the House reversed itself this morning on that commercial driver's license issue. Can you explain why the reversal happened?
I think the debate changed the outcome. Standings bill is a large bill, and different members are sometimes able to get things in the base bill standings. In the end, it's just a proposal. I've said this, I think yesterday. I think if you look at the last 10 years of standings bills, this is probably the smallest standings bill we've had in a decade. So even though it's referred to sometimes sarcastically as a Christmas tree bill, there's a lot less bulbs on this tree in past years. That was something there is a legitimate discussion to have on CDL ramifications on collateral attacks when a person wins at the underlying DOT level, but there's no consensus on that issue. I don't think people had that fully vetted. So the debate on the amendment that passed, I think, changed the outcome, and members wanted to have a second look at it, and they did. So that's the legislative process worked, the debate worked, and that provision was stricken from the bill. One thing I'll just want to say in terms of something we're proud of, I guess, as we approach the end of this General Assembly, is we talked about at the beginning of last year that we were going to govern from the mainstream and not the extreme. And we think we've done that. When you look at what we've done for middle-class families with education from 42nd to 25th, from healthcare expansion to focus on renewable energy, so